You know exactly what I'm talking about. That knot in your stomach, the one that tightens when the phone rings with a number you don't recognize, or when your boss's email lands in your inbox with that particular dreaded subject line. It's the same feeling you get when you see a critical comment on something you poured your heart into, or when a friend's casual remark lands with the precision of a well-aimed dart. It's that familiar, unwelcome surge of anxiety, the almost involuntary clenching of your jaw, the quickening of your pulse. We've all been there, haven't we? Standing on the precipice of something, a difficult conversation, an unexpected setback, a moment of public scrutiny, and feeling that primal urge to either flee or fight. It's a visceral response, deeply ingrained, a survival mechanism that, in the modern world, often does us more harm than good. We mistake the internal storm for an external threat, and in doing so, we give away our power, piece by precious piece. This isn't about grand, earth-shattering catastrophes. This is about the everyday, the relentless barrage of minor indignities, the constant hum of unmet expectations, the subtle erosion of our confidence by the opinions of others. It's the frustration of traffic jams when you're already late, the sting of a sarcastic remark from a colleague, the gnawing feeling of inadequacy when comparing your life to the curated perfection you see online. We spend so much energy trying to control these external forces, attempting to steer the ship through every rogue wave, to silence every dissenting voice, to rewrite every unkind word. We strategize, we deflect, we overthink, we obsess. We build elaborate defenses, hoping to shield ourselves from the perceived onslaught. But the truth, the undeniable, often uncomfortable truth, is that this relentless pursuit of external control is a losing game. It's like trying to hold water in your fist. The harder you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. And what is the cost of this constant struggle? It's the depletion of our mental and emotional reserves. It's the sleepless nights replaying conversations, the endless loops of what-ifs and should-haves. It's the physical toll, the tension headaches, the digestive issues, the chronic fatigue that settles in when our nervous systems are perpetually on high alert. We become reactive, not responsive. We are driven by external stimuli, our moods dictated by the whims of others or the unpredictable nature of circumstance. We crave a sense of stability, a bedrock of peace, but we seek it in the wrong places, chasing it in promotions, possessions, or the approval of others, only to find it fleeting and ultimately unsatisfying. The modern man, in particular, is often conditioned to believe that strength lies in dominion, in conquering the external world. But this script offers a different perspective, a more profound and enduring form of strength. It's the strength that comes not from bending the world to your will, but from mastering yourself, from cultivating an inner citadel that remains unassailable, regardless of the storms raging outside. This journey isn't about becoming a stoic monk detached from the world, nor is it about suppressing your emotions. It's about understanding the fundamental nature of reality, about recognizing what is within your control and what is not, and about aligning your inner world with that understanding. It's about learning to navigate the inevitable challenges of life with grace, resilience, and an unshakable sense of inner peace. It's about shifting your focus from the uncontrollable external to the infinitely powerful internal. This is where true agency lies, where genuine happiness is cultivated, not as a fleeting byproduct of favorable circumstances, but as a steady, unwavering state of being. We are about to embark on a path that leads not to a superficial fix, but to a fundamental transformation, a re-architecting of your internal landscape that will equip you to face anything life throws your way, not with dread, but with quiet confidence and profound contentment. This is the beginning of reclaiming your power, not by changing the world, but by changing how you engage with it. This is the path to genuine, lasting fulfillment. Consider the insidious nature of perceived slights. A colleague's abrupt tone during a meeting, a social media post that seems to subtly exclude you, a partner's curt response to a question you thought was innocuous. These moments, individually small, can accumulate, forming a persistent undercurrent of negativity if we allow them to. The instinct, often fueled by a lifetime of conditioning to seek external validation, is to interpret these actions as personal attacks, as definitive proof of our shortcomings or unpopularity. We replay these interactions, dissecting every syllable, searching for hidden meanings, building elaborate narratives of malice or indifference. This internal drama, however, is almost entirely a construct of our own minds. It's our interpretation, our projection, that infuses these neutral or even ambiguous events with hostile intent. Furthermore, this tendency to personalize external events is a direct consequence of over-identifying with our ego and its need for affirmation. When our sense of self is fragile, or when we have mistakenly tied our worth to the opinions and actions of others, any perceived negativity from the outside world feels like a direct assault on our very being. We become hypervigilant, constantly scanning for threats to our self-esteem. This hypervigilance is exhausting. It drains our energy, clouds our judgment, and prevents us from engaging with the present moment authentically. Instead of seeing a colleague who might be having a bad day, we see an enemy. Instead of recognizing a poorly worded text message, we see a deliberate act of disrespect. This is the trap of external locus of control in its most insidious form, believing that our emotional well-being is contingent upon the favorable disposition and considerate actions of everyone around us. Another layer of this challenge emerges when we consider the sheer volume of information and interaction we experience daily. In an age of constant connectivity, we are exposed to an unprecedented amount of social cues, both real and digital. The curated realities presented on social media, the rapid-fire communication of text messages, the complex dynamics of professional environments, all of these contribute to an environment where misinterpretation is not just possible, but probable. To assume malicious intent in every ambiguous interaction is to set ourselves up for a constant state of anxiety and resentment. It's like expecting every cloud formation to be a harbinger of a hurricane. The Stoic perspective offers a crucial recalibration. To recognize that the vast majority of these external events are not directed at us personally, and even when they are, our reaction to them is the only thing truly within our power to shape. Consider, for instance, the professional arena. A manager's feedback, delivered perhaps with less tact than ideal, can be easily perceived as a personal indictment. The immediate impulse might be defensiveness, a desire to argue, to justify, to prove the manager wrong. Yet, if we pause and apply a different lens, we can see that the feedback, regardless of its delivery, is simply information. It's a data point about our performance, not a judgment on our character. The manager might be under pressure, might lack communication skills, or might simply be having a difficult morning. Their internal state, their motivations, their word choices, these are all external factors. What is within our control is how we receive that information. Do we allow it to shatter our confidence, or do we extract the useful elements, learn from them, and move forward with greater clarity and competence? Conversely, in personal relationships, a partner's quietness might be interpreted as anger or disinterest, leading to a cascade of anxious thoughts about the state of the relationship. However, this quietness could stem from a demanding day at work, a personal worry, or simply a need for introspection. The assumption of negative intent without any actual evidence creates unnecessary friction and emotional turmoil. The Stoic practice here is to cultivate a default position of charitable interpretation, or at the very least, a suspension of judgment. It's about recognizing that we rarely have complete insight into the inner lives of others, and that projecting our own insecurities onto their behavior is a disservice to both ourselves and them. This shift in perspective, from assuming the worst to seeking understanding or simply accepting ambiguity, is a powerful act of self-liberation. It frees us from the exhausting burden of constantly defending ourselves against perceived attacks that may not even exist. Reflecting on this journey so far, one begins to perceive a profound shift in perspective. The incessant clamor of the external world, once a deafening roar that dictated our inner state, gradually recedes, revealing a quieter, more potent source of stability. It's akin to standing in a bustling marketplace, overwhelmed by the noise and activity, only to step through a hidden doorway into a serene courtyard. The marketplace still exists, its energy undiminished, but its power to disturb your equilibrium is fundamentally altered. This transition isn't about abandoning the arena of life, but about fundamentally changing your posture within it. It's about recognizing that the battlefield is often internal, and the most significant victories are won not through conquest, but through cultivation. As we consolidate these emerging understandings, a compelling narrative begins to take shape. The threads of observation, interpretation, and reaction, once tangled and chaotic, start to weave themselves into a more coherent tapestry. The initial impulse to externalize our struggles, to seek solutions in changing the unchangeable, gives way to a deeper appreciation for the internal architecture of our experience. This is not a passive resignation, but an active engagement with the present, a conscious choice to anchor ourselves in what is truly ours. The relentless pursuit of external validation, which once seemed like the only path to worth, is recognized as a mirage, leading us further into a desert of dissatisfaction. In light of these insights, the path forward, though still demanding conscious effort, becomes undeniably clearer. It's a path marked by the deliberate practice of discernment, by the quiet strength found in acceptance, and by the profound liberation that comes from understanding the true nature of our agency. The cumulative effect of these principles is not a simple addition of techniques, but a synergistic transformation, much like how individual elements combine to form a robust alloy. The raw materials of our experiences, when subjected to the refining fire of Stoic wisdom, emerge with a newfound resilience and an inherent nobility. The understanding deepens that true mastery isn't about controlling the currents of life, but about mastering the vessel that navigates them, ensuring it remains steady and true regardless of the prevailing winds or tides. This realization forms the bedrock upon which lasting peace and genuine fulfillment are built. So where does this leave us? Not at a finish line, but at a newly opened vista, the journey we've explored, from the gnawing anxiety of external pressures to the quiet strength of inner dominion, isn't a series of discrete steps, but a continuous unfolding. It is the realization that the armor we had been desperately trying to forge from the fickle metal of other people, cess opinions, or the shifting sands of circumstance was never the right material. True resilience, true peace, isn't built by deflecting blows from without, but by fortifying the core from within. It's the profound understanding that while the world will continue to present its chaotic symphony, our capacity to orchestrate our internal response remains our most potent and indeed our only true power. This isn't about becoming a passive observer to life's drama, but about becoming its discerning conductor. It's about recognizing that the energy once spent in futile attempts to control the uncontrollable, the weather, traffic, the words of others, is far better invested in cultivating the fertile ground of our own minds. Imagine redirecting that fierce, protective instinct, that drive for mastery, inward. Instead of wrestling with the storm, you learn to navigate it, your internal compass unwavering, your sails trimmed with wisdom and acceptance. This is the essence of freedom, Not the absence of challenges, but the liberation from the tyranny of our own reactions to them. The sting of criticism loses its venom when it lands on the shield of self-awareness. The frustration of unforeseen obstacles dissipates when met with the calm resolve of adaptability. The happiness we seek, the profound contentment that underpins a life well lived, is not a destination reached by accumulating favorable external conditions. It is, rather, the inherent quality of a mind that has learned to find its equilibrium within itself, irrespective of the external currents. It is the quiet satisfaction of knowing that your worth is not subject to the approval of others, that your peace is not contingent on a perfect world. This is the enduring legacy of self-mastery, a profound, unshakable inner citadel, a sanctuary that remains inviolable no matter what may transpire beyond its walls. It is the quiet confidence that emerges when you understand that your greatest strength lies not in conquering the external, but in mastering the internal. The true practice begins now. It begins in the mundane moments, the traffic jam, the curt email, the awkward silence. It's in choosing consciously to pause, to breathe, and to engage with what is, rather than what we wish it were. It's in the consistent, deliberate application of these principles, not as a rigid dogma, but as a living, breathing philosophy that shapes our every interaction with the world. Embrace this newfound perspective not as a temporary fix, but as the foundation for a life of enduring strength, resilience, and authentic joy. The power has always been within you. The journey is simply learning to access it.